from this class? Can I have that? Or if you want to speak, you can just go ahead. What are expectations from this class? Let me hear you. What are expectations? Anybody? Anybody? Welcome, Mr. Daniel. It's great to have you here. Does anybody want to share the expectations? Nobody has an expectation for the class. Okay, we're live on YouTube now. There's no one. I want in on what it takes to be authentic in the classroom. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Babatunde. You are going to know what it takes in summary. You're going to know before the end of this class, or to be an authentic educator. Thank you very much. Who else wants to share? Let me see my screen. Can we all see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Betty, please could you help me check YouTube if we're good? Just go to our page on YouTube and check if we're good.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So these are my quick questions. Okay. So I see some more expectations. Okay, fire chat. I want to learn how to build how to build great authenticity in my classroom. So I'm here to learn. Wonderful, Betty. I would say being original in your unique ways in your classroom. Perfect. You're already in that direction. I believe being authentic in the classroom will translate into achieving all set goals and even beyond the classroom. Yes. So my ears, eyes, and heart are open to learn. Perfect. I also want to learn from Ms. Adora how she has been able to build her authenticity over the years. Perfect. I'm going to share my story. I would love to know the link between being authentic and the teaching career. Perfect. So that's why we are here. You are all in the right place. It is so beautiful to see. So my first question, so before you answer the question, so you can just pick one question to answer out of the 6 questions, right? You don't have to answer everything. You can pick 1 or 2 to answer, right? Just unmute yourself. If your background is not noisy, please, so that I don't get to mute you. So you just introduce yourself, what you do. If you're a teacher, what school you teach in. If you're an educator, I mean, you're not in the classroom space where you have like students, but you teach, you share your knowledge with other people. So tell us your platform and then just answer any of the questions here. I want to just know. Okay, so who do we have first? You can just raise your hand and you can speak or. Alrighty. Could you go over the introduction format again? So you just introduce yourself, what you do, and then pick any of the questions on the screen right now to answer. Are we good about that? Okay, Mr. Babatunde is going. All right. Mr. Babatunde, please go ahead. All right, thank you, Betty. I see your feedback.
All right, so
are you speaking?
I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm not using 5G, so I need to confirm that.
No, your voice was sounding clearer before, and then now that you want
okay. All right, that's just on a lighter note anyway. So I am Babatunde Kayode. I'm an educator. And apart from being that, also I'm a professional master of ceremony, as well as a teams coach. So I'm also the convener of the Distinctive Teacher, a community of teachers here on WhatsApp. Right. So I'm going to begin number 3. Say, have you ever been told not to smile with students because they would take you for granted? Yes. And what do? I just shut my ears. I'm sanguine by nature, so I am this. I wouldn't want to say carefree, but I'm this person that is open. And my style of teaching, I believe that if you're open to your students, they connect more with you. Just like I was having a conversation with one of my students, a new student, a foreign student actually, last week. And then I think a question popped up. I was trying to know what our best subject is and our best teacher. And she mentioned me, even though I do not teach her directly. And she said, because you listen, you're always listening, and that is very much valuable. Okay. So if I do not smile with my students, how do I connect with them? So anytime I hear a statement like that, telling me not to smile with my students, I just shut my ears and I go off from that. So that's
beautiful. Wonderful.
Thank
you. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. So that's an experience, right? That's an experience. So these questions, I just want to hear from you, hear your experiences in summary. So any other person? Thank you, Mr. Babatini, for sharing. Any other person? You can just unmute your mic. We have Mrs. Debbie, Mr. Joshua, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Opeyemi, Betty. Two people raised. Okay, so Mr. Joshua, you can go ahead.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Joshua. I'm a coach for Teach for Nigeria.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so I'll go with the second question. Have you ever copied another teacher's style teaching? Yeah, I have during my teaching days. Yeah, there was this teacher. I realized that anytime he wants to start a new topic, he always starts with like a drama to captivate the interest of the student. I was like, wow, and it was working for him. So I decided to do that for my lessons too, to start with the drama. But it didn't work for me. I was like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? So I tried for like 3 weeks, nothing. Like my students were just there. And I realized that, okay, this will not work for me. So I actually used another method and it worked for me.
Wonderful. I'm glad you said that. I was really hoping that you would tell me that it did not work in my head. I'm like, oh my Lord, let him just say it did not work. Perfect. That is such a great experience, copying another teacher's style of teaching. For some people, though, it works. And there's a reason why it works for some people, right? But for most people, it doesn't work because no two teachers are alike. Thank you so much, Mr. Joshua, for sharing. So we'll just take one more person. Okay, Betty, let's go. Betty's the last person that's going to speak.
All right. Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Betty. I am a teacher. Let me just put it that way. So I'll go with the third question. Have you ever been told not to smile with students because they will take you for granted? So because of my own method of teaching, people say I play too much and I can fit a cartoon character because of because of how the whole teaching can be for me. So at a point I was like, okay, let me be serious. But no matter how serious I can be, know how I must definitely laugh or just I cannot just be so serious. So at some point I had to just
network. No, come back.
Just conclude that I'll just have probably just my kind of person. Yes, the students you're not teaching them well. Well, but going how will I explain now? But since then it has been going well. No, of course they listen, they pay attention to me. So I wouldn't say until I have to be serious before they will listen to me. All right, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It makes so much sense. I've been there. So I'm just going to quickly share my story as a beginning teacher, right? But as I'm sharing my story, please answer number 5 and 6 in the chat. What do you think about authenticity and authentic teaching? What do you think that is to you? What does it mean? What does authenticity mean to you? And what does authentic teaching mean to you? So let's have that in the chat while I share my story. Okay. And so going into the first time I ever thought was Betty said she's a question. Betty, don't worry, you have to send it to everyone because you sent a direct message to me. So the first time I ever got into the classroom was for micro teaching as an undergrad. Not even a classroom in its full sense, but I had to teach in front of my colleagues, and trust me, I did not know what I was doing. You know, they said write a lesson plan, write this, write that. I did all of that theoretically, but I didn't know what I was doing. They said come and teach. I just, out of the abundance of the gifts that I had, I did what I was supposed to do. I don't know how many people have been on that table before when you don't know what you're doing, but you just, because and I know that for most teachers, it's because for most teachers that I've seen, it's a calling for them. So it just flows naturally, even if sometimes, you know, they go off and on, but it flows. And so that was it for me for micro. That was the first time I ever like taught professionally. And the next time was for teaching practice, where I had to go. I had my teaching practice in CMS Girls Grammar School in Bariga, Lagos area. And so I was in a government school for a while, teaching in public school under the guidance of the HOD, teaching biology and one other subject. I think elementary. Did I teach in junior? No, it was just senior school I taught in. But going there, because I was still shy at the time, I was still dealing with, you know, being shy. I was still dealing with timidity. But one thing was certain, that these students liked me. They just liked, and like, I mean, I've never taught them. By the time they started being friends with me and calling me Auntie Dora the Explorer, I had not taught them yet, but they just liked me. And I'm like, okay. So I became friends with a lot of them. I mean, I'm still friends with one of them till now. Like, she's like my baby girl. She's already in the university, doing well, with studying education as well. And I didn't know why they liked me. I just flowed. I just felt like, oh, maybe because I came down to their level, you know, I just came down to earth. I was very open. I gisted with them. So in class, you know, we talk, we gist and all of those things. And I'm like, okay, cool. So even when I go to teach them, we still gist and all that. Even though I punish, I have the times where I remember there was a particular time when I told them to stand throughout the class. Even the HOD came to meet me. I was like, that please. I said, no, they will stand throughout. I'm standing. They will stand with me throughout this class. I didn't answer. It was even after then that they came to meet me that next time the HOD tells you to release them, you do that. You don't do that. I'm like, even at the time, like, why should I do that? I mean, this is my class. This is my terrain. I can do what I want. They were disrespectful, and they have to take the consequences. At the time, I was still trying to navigate my way. And you know, I thought to the best of my abilities. I not like I was so big at the time. I wasn't like a biology expert, but I mean, I tried. And then after that, went for NYSC, was in the classroom as well. And my students loved me too. I was teaching both junior and senior, and I was also the librarian, and they would always come to the library. Oh, we just want to sit down, we just want to gist. I didn't take cognition of all these things that were happening. I was just relating with these students like human beings, like the way I would relate to any other person, regardless of their age. And so moving on to the first time I had like a job, like an official job that they gave me like an official letter that you've been employed in Dancehall Primary School. I got there for the first time. I met my students. I jumped in the class. I was like, hello everyone, how are you? Oh my God, I'm so excited. And my students were like, oh my God, I've not seen a teacher like this before. Mr. Dora, where have you been? Like, we've been in this school for a long time. There's no teacher that has related with me like this. First time came, parents were coming. Mr. Dora, what have you done to my children? They're always coming, Mr. Dora, Mr. Dora, Mr. Dora, Mr. Dora. And so I had to start thinking, like, what am I doing differently? Why are students loving up on me? And trust me, I'm not even the kind of person that on a normal day, I will go into a space and I'll just jump and like, oh, hello, everybody. But I don't know why with my students it's different. with human beings, with adults like me, I don't know how to just go into a space and just, have like this outburst. But with my students, it's always different. I'm like, why? Like, why am I like this? I didn't even understand myself so much at the time, but I just think I was doing something differently, but I did not know why. But trust me, down the line, that started to affect me because I did not know what was going on. I didn't know what I was doing differently. So it started to affect me in the classroom, in the sense that when I jump into are we sending in our comments? I've only seen one comment so far on authentic teaching. So please drop your comments on number 5 and 6, please. The definition. What do you think authenticity is? What do you think authentic teaching is? Just type it up in the comments. And so it started to affect me along the way, where my class became the noisiest class in the school. Please, am I the only one am I the only one that has been tagged, or has your class been tagged the noisiest class in your school before? For someone that is not trust me, I'm not the noisy type. My house can be quiet. I can be in my house like for days. Not if I can be. I've been right now. I can't remember last time I go out on Sundays, so I hardly go out because my work is online, school is online, so I'm good. So for someone as quiet as I am, they're telling me that my class is the noisiest class. My children's grades were dropping. Something was wrong. Nobody could tell me that something was not wrong. Something was wrong, and I had to figure it out fast. And so I met another teacher, and she said, Adora, you need to learn how to be stern. You need to learn how to be stern. Be stern with your students. You have to take up that mommy figure. Yes, sometimes you can be a friend, but also take up that mommy. Which one is mommy figure? How do I become a mother when I'm not a mother? Even though I call them my children, but I mean, I cannot take the place of their parents. Even though we are like parents in the school, but I would never be able to take the place of their biological parents. But so she's like, no, you have to learn how to be stern. And so I started learning how to be stern. Because I hope my story is not boring. I'm just trying to bring up my journey. And so I tried to be stern with my students, and I started shouting a lot. Will you keep quiet? I hope I'm not alone on this table. Like, I hope the other children have shouted with me. And I was like, and I'll be like, will you keep quiet? Guys, quiet. They will keep quiet for a while. After a while, I'm like, oh my God. I was frustrated. I was overwhelmed. I didn't even know I was overwhelmed. I think I made a post on Instagram one day. You've been here. Thank you. Thank you so much. I posted a picture one day. My eyes were like red. I was going through a lot at the time. And then this class thing was happening, but I didn't even know. I didn't know I was experiencing these things. Because I was, number one, I enjoyed going to work. I'm not like those people that wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, I'll be like, oh, Monday is here again. I was always the excited person that, oh my God, it's Monday. Oh, I'm going to work. I've planned my week. I've done, But I didn't know all these things were happening. Like, and then, the embarrassing part, my HOD will come. He will literally bypass me and control my class for me. And I'm like, Jesus. Or he will call me and be like, Adora, you cannot keep doing this. Your children are everywhere in the school. And I'm like, how are they everywhere? In my head, I'm like, how are they everywhere in school? They are all here. And then I'm looking outside and I'm seeing like one or two of them on the second floor. Or I'm like, oh my God, like, what is going on? This is not how I planned my first official teaching experience. This was not how I planned it at all. I didn't want it to be like this. And then fast forward, taking counsel on being stern, started doing punishment, behaviorism. Oh, that was such a mistake. Using behaviorism theory, where they have like behaviors. You want to condition them to act a certain way, and then so you have like rewards and punishment for them. So if you do this, you get this. If you do this, you don't. And I'm like, okay, let's try it out. It didn't work because I'm like, how many punishments do I want to punish sometimes somebody will do something because I was not there. Because I wasn't there, and they'll be like, Mr. Dora, this person did something, but I didn't see it. I can't just punish the person. The person is saying, no, I didn't do it. So what do I do? And moving on and on like that, there was a particular day it got up to here that they had to call all my children. I was in a class, but the noise was crazy. I didn't know what to do. Like I was, when you just block out what's going on, I was just looking at them. Things were happening in front of me, but I was not there. I was not present because I was done literally. And then my HOD from downstairs said, what is happening upstairs? Because apparently there was a fight. Was that what happened? There was something happened, but I was there. I think it was a fight or something. I don't even know. But I told all of them to go and meet. I told all of them to go and meet the HOD. That was done. And so they went. Some people came back. The innocent ones came back upstairs. The guilty ones, because they these children, they know when they're doing something wrong. And so they went downstairs, and the innocent ones came up. The guilty ones remained down. The head of school got in on what was going on. I became invisible to. I was invisible. I made myself invisible, actually, not because they could not see me. I made because I was just in the corner. I was just done. I didn't know what was going on with me. I wasn't just in that space of correcting or shouting or anything. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know if I was tired. I didn't know. I was just done, literally. Like, let them be children, in quotes, Because I have that policy as well. Like, just let kids be kids. Don't try to restrain them too much. It affects them, and I'll still tell you that part of. Let me even write it down because that just came to my mind. So the guilty ones came back up, and they said, okay, they had to go to the head of school's office. So they went to the head of school's office. The head of school did something and corrected them for me, and they came back into the classroom. Please, I hope you're taking notes of some of these things because these are like real lessons. So number one, don't think you can do stuff alone. Always ask for help when you need help. If you need help from your colleagues, ask for help. If you need to send them to another teacher, if you know that they can do better, do it. And so after a short while, the head of school called me, and the guilty ones came back upstairs, and I was like, the head of school is calling me, and I'm like, okay, fine. So I went downstairs, and I sat down. She was still correcting some of the other students, and so those other ones, when she was done with them, they left, and it was just me and her. She just asked me one question. She said, Atara, what is going on? And I started crying. I wept. I was wailing. When you are like crying like a baby, like tears, everything. Just I bawled my eyes out in her office, and she was just looking at me. And she gave me tissues, She didn't say anything. No, my head of school did not say one thing. She just left me to cry for like 10 minutes. I was just crying. She asked me, are you done? I said, no, I'm not done. She said, okay, go to the toilet, wash your face, because you have another class. I washed my face. She said that when I'm done with my class, that I should come back downstairs. I said, okay, I washed my face. I cried, still cried in the toilet, still cried. Then I went back upstairs to meet my kids. The class was quiet. I was like, what is going on? And I told them something. I said, you guys made me sad today. You guys made me angry. You guys made me cry. And everybody, it was like a cloud of one cloud just settled on top of us. Like our class has always, when I tell you that my class was a very jovial class, like so I taught primary 5. So we had people from primary 4 coming into my class to just have fun. Or I'm telling you, my class was like that. So that particular day, nobody could step into my class. Other things happened though, and it was always my class. It's either my class, they're the ones misplacing kids to the toilet, they are the ones someone broke chair. My class had the most broken chairs in the whole school. How it happened, not like they would take the chair and break it, but I don't know how the chairs would just break. And I have to tell them, I say, your chairs are fake. You need to get a good book. I'm like, why is in my class that chairs are breaking? And so there was just this cloud of darkness. I told them, you guys made me cry today. I'm not happy with you guys, and nobody should talk to me. Don't come to my table. Don't call my name. Whatever happens, just don't call my name. I did not because it wasn't because I didn't want to like talk to them, but I was just like, so that I don't get upset and say stuff I don't mean or shout at them. I was not just in that space. So later when I went to my HOD's office, she gave me a word because my school, Dancehall is a Christian school, so she just used the word, the Bible, gave me some scriptures, and told me to go. And when I go back upstairs, children were apologizing. It's like they were ready. All of them were like, Sadora, we are sorry. Sadora, sorry. Don't like see that. Like, in my mind, I'm like, people should just leave me alone, because I'm not happy. I don't want to talk to you. So and it was from that moment I began to understand that there were certain things I was doing that was not working for me. I was, as much as possible, I was trying to be stern with my children, but it was causing it was affecting me. I wasn't being myself. I wasn't teaching like myself. I'd seen some teachers. There's this particular teacher in primary 5 as well. She won the best teacher just before I got in. So I'm like, this woman, she's going to be my role model. So her class is always quiet. Her children are always listening. Her children are always on point. She's always on point. Notes marks. Me, I'm the teacher that to mark notes, please, if you are like me, I don't like marking notes. I don't like writing lesson plans. I hope I'm not the one on that table, so that they will not think that I'm not worthy enough of a teacher. I don't like marking notes. I don't like having to sit down to start reading one, because it's an elementary school. So you have to read their notes. Like, I'm the one that typed up the notes. I'm the one that gave you the note. Then I have to still read your notes. I still have to correct your notes again. I'm like, so I'm not, that's not, even all these things that I'm saying, I didn't even know that it was a thing. I didn't even know there was a name to it, because I'm just like, I don't like my lesson plan. I'm always the last teacher to submit lesson plan before deadline, or even on the day of deadline. Sometimes I'll be in school 7 p.m. because the school wasn't so far from my house. 7 p.m. I'm in school. I'm trying to catch up to finish my lesson plan or setting exam questions. I didn't just like all those things. Just let me teach in peace. And so, but after that day, I just, sorry, I was talking about another teacher. And so I said I was going to try to be like her, be stern. Her children hardly use their playtime. Their playtime is for reading. I'm like, my children's playtime is very necessary. We must go and play, because I'm an advocate of play. But when I saw that woman and I saw that her class was always on, I'm like, your playtime is gone. I'm no playtime again. I didn't know I was agitating my children. So many of these things happen, but I didn't just know why. I will go to work in the morning and I am tired. I'm not like I'm tired because I don't want to teach, but my body system, I will just be feeling sleepy in the morning. I don't know if I'm the only one, because naturally, I didn't know why. I'm just trying to pause. I'm not trying to tell you the full details just yet, but I didn't know why that was happening to me. That I will go to work in the morning. From the house to work, I'm not tired. Immediately I get to my seat like this, there's just this wave of tiredness that comes until I'm up again, maybe like midday. Then I'll be myself. I didn't know why. So all of these things boils down to one thing: just knowing who you are, knowing yourself. The only way you can have an authentic classroom in the first place, the only way you can teach from a place of authenticity, from a place of knowing who you are, from a place of knowing your core as a person, is just, the only way you can do all of these things, like teach well, build connections with your children, not shouting in the classroom, not getting tired, not your people always complaining that your class is the worst and all of that, is from a place of authenticity, from a place of knowing, knowing who you are. And so that will take us to, we might not be able to finish everything today. It doesn't matter. But I just wanted to establish I think just an understanding of authenticity and authentic teaching will take us a long way as teachers, because I noticed that some teachers, like I put on my Instagram post, some teachers come into the teaching profession and they leave after like between 1 to 3 years. Either they're leaving the first year, second year, third year, not because they don't like teaching, but because they're just tired and they don't know why they're tired. They don't know, and it's not the money, and some of them are not there for the money. It's just like, I'm not feeling it anymore. That feeling it is something. It's telling you something, that there's something wrong somewhere. There's no congruence. Now, what is that congruence? Just an alignment between who you are as a person and who you are as a teacher. So in the course I took this, I say there's somebody they call self and there's somebody they call teacher. There has to be a congruence between self and teacher. There has to be who you are as self and who you are as teacher has to be the same. It has to fit so that you don't get frustrated. There has to be something called ingenuity coming from a place of originality. And I saw someone sharing that as well, coming from a place of originality. So all of these things are very important. So I'm just going to read some comments here. Being an authentic teacher, I believe, is knowing who you are as a teacher, your personality, strengths, weakness, your style of teaching, and staying true to yourself and not trying to act like someone else you are not. Thank you so much, Mr. Babatunde. You are very correct. You just took out of my slides, and for that, you deserve a round of applause. So Mr. Daniel says, being an authentic teacher is the ability to understand your learners and translating subject matter to suit your learners. Yes, that's also part of authentic teaching as well, or being an authentic teacher. Mr. Joshua says, to be authentic means to be true to your originality and at the same time improving or polishing your originality. Wonderful. Being authentic is being yourself, being true to yourself. Beautiful. It is who you are as a person as well as teaching. Okay, yes, okay. Sorry, just point. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Babatunde. So I'm just going to go to the next slide real quick. Move to the next slide. All right, these are content. We're going to be talking about definition of authenticity and authentic teaching, know thyself, know thy students, personality types of teachers, what's your classroom flavor, and then making connections the right way. I hope we're able to finish. We have 1 hour and some minutes. Okay. So this was something that came to my mind when I was preparing my slides. It says, a tough exterior builds a tough aura, and a tough aura never allows for connections. A tough exterior, just, you know, those teachers that have just this blank expression or this tough expression, and they'll be like, what? Let me try to remember one of my teachers in school. Those teachers that when they call that teacher's name, if you hear that teacher's name from wherever you are in the school, don't allow that teacher meet you where you are if you're not meant to be there. And so those teachers build a tough exterior, but then the people that are closest to them, they will tell you that no, that teacher is not wicked. And I'm like, so what? So thinking back, I'm like, so why build that tough exterior? So that people will not take you for granted. Many of those teachers, many students did not like going close to them, and it's just what it is. A tough exterior that you're trying to build it will build a tough aura around you. So it's always going to be tense around you. People are always going to be so afraid around you, and then the connections that you're looking for to build, it never happens. Okay, so authenticity and authentic teaching. I hope you guys like my slides. Please, I want feedback because I'm trying to improve on my slides as well. So a quick quote from Harvey Firestone. He says, accept no one's definition of your life, but define yourself. Accept, that is authenticity. Accepting nobody's definition of your life, nobody, but knowing who you are, defining yourself, okay? Up next, we have the first definition of authenticity. It says, authenticity simply means being true to who you are. What most of us have said, it is aligning your every thought and action with who and what you were created to be and do. Nothing or nobody should define you. It is up to you to understand who you are and live according to that truth. It is up to you to define who you are, to understand who you are and live according to that truth. And I feel like sometimes many of us think that we know ourselves so much that we don't know who we are. So because we've so much accepted people's perceptions of who we are, so we take it upon ourselves. And so sometimes when we find, a disconnection between ourselves and some things, we're just like, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Sometimes it's just because you've taken up people's perceptions of who you are, not who you have called yourself to be. All right, so what else is authenticity? Please, I hope you're taking notes. Authenticity, according to Adora Eguma, is number one, being true to thyself. True to thyself. What some of us have said already. It is living in ingenuity and originality of self. In ingenuity and originality of self. It is being in a state of genuinely living your life. Excuse me. Just genuinely living your life. There was something I started last year. I mean, I think it was second half of last year where I said I was going to choose to live. I was going to choose to live. I had lived so much in other people's perceptions of who I am. And I had become so dependent on people's perceptions of who I am. And so I did not do certain things. I did not say certain things. I did not go to certain places. I could not. So I was very, and I didn't know about these things. I didn't know about it. So I had to come to a place of actually asking myself, who are you? Who are you, this young lady? And so it's a state of genuinely just living your life. When they say live your life, just live your life. If you want to go anywhere, you want to do anything, just do what you have to do. As far as it's not negatively affecting the next person. It's about being a soul person from your soul, being a soul person, having a prosperous soul. It's also knowing the core of who you are, your personality, your character, your emotions, your thoughts. Finding yourself. It's about finding yourself and being true to this self, regardless of what people have to say. It's being free to express your true self and not being bound by societal pressures of what should be. Okay, so people have perceptions of how we should act. They want us to act a certain way. They want you to teach a certain way. They want your students to be a certain way. They want your classroom to be a certain way, right? Without being bound by societal pressures of what should be. And I'll share a quick story. So when I started working in a primary school, I used to be one teacher that used to wear hats. I wear hats to work. And unfortunately for me, nobody said anything. And it wasn't in the school policy. It wasn't in school policy that you don't wear hats to work. They have other policies. Oh, you don't use a certain color of hair. Even at the time when I started working, my hair was blonde. So I had to dye my hair to like a darker color of brown. I mean, when I said I chose to leave, I'm telling you, I chose to live my best life. So if I wanted to dye my hair, I was going to dye my hair. If I wanted to wear use colored attachment, I was going to do that without anybody stopping me from doing what I wanted, because I felt like, not because I just out of the ordinary, but because this is what I want to do. I love it, and so I'm going to do it. And so I used to wear hats. I wear bowler hats to work on Wednesdays, sports time. So I'm not particularly a fan of face caps. I love hats a lot, and so I used to wear it to work, and nobody said anything. Nobody said anything to me. And those Wednesdays were like my free day of letting my hair down. So I don't wear wigs to work. I just my all back under, just put the hat on my head, and I'm off to work. And so I noticed that there was this particular teacher who was also like a big sis to me, was giving me an attitude. And, but she didn't say anything. Nobody said anything to me until she said, there was this particular day she was like, but I told you, you're not meant to use this hat and you keep using it. And I'm like, but nobody said anything to me. It is not in the school's policy that I should not wear a hat. The head of school has not said. He said, the head of school, she won't say anything. I'm like, but why won't she say anything? If she'd, because the great thing about it was the head of school came in the same time I was coming in. So we went through the same training process. And I asked questions about dressing. my school, they don't allow Ankara. It's just recently they started allowing Ankara at work. So you can't wear Ankara on Fridays. Certain guys, there's the way you barb your hair, and girls, we can't use, as females, we can't use colored, like Chelsea color attachments or wigs and all of that. And so she was there when I asked that question about dressing. I was very particular about dressing because I am particular about dressing. I don't want to go against any law. Even I dress very modestly, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to be sure, right? Especially with the Ankara, because I'm like, I'm going to sew like Ankara blazers, going to. And on getting there, they were like, no Ankara. I'm like, good. So, thank you, Mr. Babatunde. The lovely slides. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Ogechi. Nice to meet you. Welcome. I hope you are following. I'm going to take a break shortly just to know what we've learned so far before we go on to the practical parts and the other fun parts. So she came to me and was like, you don't wear hats to work and all of that. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. She didn't even talk to me for some time. I'm like, I'm not about that life. And so it was great that she talked to me, because if she hadn't talked to me, I would have still continued to wear my hat, because I'm like, the fact that other teachers don't wear hats to work doesn't mean that I can't wear a hat to work. The fact, because when there's a they call it, they say it's a school culture. But I mean, even in the school culture, that's the policy of the school. It is not written there. So if I come into a place and I'm bringing my own culture or I'm doing my own thing, and it doesn't align with what you think it should be, just let me know. Don't talk behind my back. Just let me know. I'm going to follow your rules. But the part of authenticity is that I'm being true to myself. I wear hats outside. I can wear hats inside. The hats are not distracting my students. It didn't distract them from learning. It did not cause an uproar in the school. So I'm good, right? Even the first time my children saw me on low cut, they were like, Mr. Dora, what happened to your hair? Oh my God. As far as it's not distracting them from learning, then you are good. Okay, so what is authentic teaching? Authentic teaching is honest teaching. It is honest teaching. It is teaching from a place of experience where you practice what you preach. You are telling your students, you have to be bold, you have to be courageous, but yet you are cowering in fear to make a very big decision in your life. You're telling your students, be respectful, always respect people, and then you are in the bus or you're driving your car and you are throwing insults at the next person beside you. You're telling your children, oh, be hygienic, do this and do that. Well, yes, your house is a mess because you're not hygienic. It is being true to yourself. It's honest teaching from a place of experience where what you practice in out of the classroom is what you are telling your students to practice in the classroom, and it's also what they see you practice. You're telling your children, sure, you pray morning, afternoon, and night, but yet you go to work, they don't even see you praying at all. It's not about faking it. There's no fake it till you make it when it comes to authentic teaching. It's about teaching your students in a way that will make them choose to be authentic as well. So when they see you acting a certain way, they'll be like, oh my God, I want to be like Mr. Dora. I know how many students say that to me. Oh, Mr. Dora, I want to be like him. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm a teacher. Oh, do you want to be a teacher? I'm like, Mr. Dora, I want to be this. Okay. So it's about knowing who you are and using it to your advantage. So we also talk about that. You're not trying to be someone else in the classroom or trying to push yourself to be who you are not. You're not trying to take up another person's persona. You're not trying to take another person's classroom vibe. You're not trying to be like another teacher. You're not trying to form. You're not forming for anybody. There's no point. Okay? So what have we learned so far? Also, authentic teaching is being true to your values, your standards. We talked about this in goal setting, just talked a bit about it, about values and your vision, mission. It's about knowing all of those things, about choosing. It's about knowing when you cannot carry out a task. You don't know how to do it. Say you don't know how to do it and ask for help. That is authentic teaching. It is also, authentic teaching is being open to correction for growth and improvement. That is authentic teaching, being open. You know you can't do it. You know you don't have the knowledge. You know you don't have the skill set. It's not a time to form and say, I can. You can't. Admit that you cannot. And it's not just with your colleagues, even to your kids, your students. You can't. You don't know. I've been there a lot of times. Please, anybody there with me, where a child will ask you a question in the class, but you've never heard of it, and you're like, oh, I really have no idea, but can we do this together? Do you know about it? Oh, teach me. Or can we search the internet, and we search the internet on the spot and we learn about it? That is authentic teaching. There's no forming. The reason why I can say this with all boldness is because right from the beginning, so when I was saying students like me and all of this, because I'm not trying to be another person. I don't know. I know. You know, you teach me. I know I teach you. That's authentic teaching, and that's what teaching should be about. It's about someone coming to meet you, oh, Mr. Dora, oh, I don't think this is right. You should do this. Oh, you know that you were wrong. Just me, please, how can I change this? Being humble. Authentic teaching is humility as well. Okay. Are we together? Let me see in the comments if you're together. I'm sorry that this might sound like serious and I'm hammering some things, but authenticity is the core of teaching. It is the core of teaching. I feel like if teachers can get it, you will thrive in the classroom. You will thrive. This course that I've been taking for the past 3 months has been liberating. To the extent that I'm learning some things from my instructor. Right now, he's going through a very tough time. His brother is in the hospital. He had to travel. He's working and everything. He's going through a lot. Please, how do I know? How do I know he's going through all of these things? It's because it tells us. It tells us. He gives us life updates. Every week he gives us life updates. But I noticed that some teachers in Nigeria, they're always holding everything to their chest. Stuff is happening to you. You don't want to share with anybody, which is fine. You don't want to share with anybody. It's fine. But what you're doing to yourself, you're just killing yourself. You don't want to share. Forget that it's Western culture and say, oh, it's because they're Oyibo, nothing. No. Every time he tells us, I'm even getting emotional because every time he tells us, he opens a part of himself. So I'm like, wow. Like, you don't have to. But the truth is, when we are in class, you see us now, we take charge of our learning. So he tells us, I may not be able to come to class this week, but I'm seeing what you are doing. So we take charge of our learning. We're like, oh, he's not around, but we have to just do what we have to do. Then we're also reaching out to him. Oh, Mr. John, are you okay? Are you fine now? How's your brother? Is everything okay? Oh, were you able to learn in Ontario well? And all of that. We are checking up on him. There's a connection. There's no how I will want to maybe later, by the time we launch the course, and I will not invite him to share. I will invite him to share because I was blown. He will just give you life updates. Oh, I'm teaching you. And even in the midst of all that, he will tell you, oh, I have this particular resource. If you're a math, there was a time he did it. If you're a math teacher and you need this particular resource, I have it. I'll create it for you. With all the things that you're going through. It's amazing. It's the core. If you can just get it, you're free. You are free of every form of imposter syndrome. Because that's another thing that happens to teachers as well. We just feel like we are imposters, because you are not who you are. You are not what you are saying in the classroom is different from who you are at home. The person you are portraying in the class is very different from who you are outside of the classroom. So you feel like an imposter. I hope we're together. Okay, let me see. All right. I love the last part of the meaning of authenticity. Thank you. Great. You are totally correct, Ms. Adora. A student in my class broke down NFT to me in simple terms because he asked me and I didn't know jack about it. I had to study it myself and now we discuss about tech during break. Yes, that's you being authentic. It is what it is. Though I joined in late, but I've been able to learn some things. Living your best life as a teacher stood up for me. Thank you. Living your best life as a teacher Living your best life as a teacher. Oh my. Let's move on. I'm excited. Let's move on. Let's see. So I titled this Know Thyself, Know Thy Student. If you know yourself, you will know your students. And the first question that pops up is, who are you really? So the book that we used for this particular course is called Becoming an Authentic Teacher. Becoming an Authentic Teacher, yes, in higher education by Cranton Patricia. She wrote it in 2001. Okay. And so she said the question when she was talking about, so how I made this slide, I just put a summary of the course and just some many additions of my thoughts to the course, right? And so she says, know thyself, know thy students. This is what I tagged it, but this was not what she said. I'm just putting what came to my heart while I was studying. And the first question is, who are you really? Said the words we use to describe ourselves are powerful indicators of how we see ourselves. So when someone asks you, who are you? And whatever word you use to describe yourself, even if it's a noun or a verb or an adjective, is a powerful indicator of how you see yourself. So if you see yourself as being calm, that means you see yourself as calm. If you see yourself as being naughty, you are naughty. So whatever word that just pops up in your head is really what it is really who you are. But let's go deeper. So knowing yourself, knowing your values. We've talked about this in my goal setting training for a bit. Knowing your values, knowing your purpose, knowing your vision, knowing your mission, right? It's part of knowing yourself. So when we go into the Skill Teacher Academy, we are going to be going deep into all of this, but I just itemized it so that these are just things that you need to put into consideration. How many of us know our values? How many of us know our values, our purpose? And how many of us know our vision statement, mission statement, our purpose? Why are you here on earth? Okay, Mr. Babatunde, I see you. I'm going to do that now. Becoming an authentic teacher in higher education. Becoming an authentic teacher in higher education by Cranton Patricia. Okay. So we move to the next one quickly. So we're going to be doing some exercises, but you can take note of them. I'm not going to release my slides after the class, but you can go on YouTube to watch the recorded version so that you can see the questions. So the first exercise is, who are you really? Who are you? That's the first exercise on knowing yourself. Who are you really? And so she says, write down 10 nouns or noun phrases that define you, that define yourself. Remember at the beginning, I said there's someone I call self and then someone I call teacher. And so finding congruence between the two of them is what makes an authentic teacher. So 10 nouns or 10 noun phrases that define yourself. What words would you list in this exercise that if they were not suddenly true, you would lose your sense of self? For example, some people will lose their sense of self if they are not teachers. So for example, a noun, when I say a noun phrase that, or a noun that if you write down, if you are not that person, you've lost your sense of self. For example, if I am not a teacher now, I will not be myself. How many of you agree? For some people, if they're not teachers now, they're okay. They will still thrive. But for me, if I'm not teaching, if I'm not a teacher now, I can't thrive. If I'm not teaching, if I'm not passing knowledge, if I'm not an educator, if I'm not sharing, I will not thrive. For some people, if they can't see them, if they don't say they are mothers, they will not thrive. If they don't see themselves as a mother, they can't thrive. They don't have their children around. If that title mother or their children are taken away, they cannot be themselves. For some people, it is what other noun? It can be an activity, cooking, for example, or a cook, or I love cooking. For some people, if you take that activity from them, that cooking, if they take that activity from them, they cannot be themselves. They cannot be themselves. Right? For me, I love being happy. I love, some people, they don't think deep about this. There are some of these things that they just come off naturally. You don't really have to think deep about them. For some people, it's reading. I love reading. If they don't read in a month, they will never be themselves. But some people, they can do without reading, actually. If they don't smell book, if they don't see a book, if they listen to audios, they are okay. Audio books, they are just good. Do you understand? All right. I think we have a question. If I'm not teaching, especially teenagers, I can't feel fulfilled. Very good. That's even the word, fulfillment. What do you do that makes you feel fulfilled? Okay. So I work as a school admin, and I'm a sucker for being well dressed as a teacher. Okay, now. I mean, I like it when teachers are on flick and look tapping. Thank you. That's my style of teacher. I love it too. I love it. Oh my God. I love it. I know that was a thing for me when I was going to work. So when you see many people, I will be on the radio like, or I'll go out. It's like, what you do? I'm like, I'm a teacher. Like, you're a teacher? Like, are you sure you don't work in a bank? No, I don't work in a bank because each time I emphasize that, I sometimes get this reaction like I'm being extra or something. I don't know. How do I react to that? Please, you are being true to yourself. You don't have to care about what people say. And it's good that people look good. I think when I first of all started the Fresh Look Africa, one of the things I said I was going to denounce was this idea that you have to look crappy or you have to look somehow to be able to be addressed as a teacher. You remember how some of our teachers used to dress? How some of our teachers used to dress in those days? They would just wear slippers and just like, hey, that was why some of us did not want to be teachers. But trust me, if you keep emphasizing it and keep showing them, keep telling them about the opportunities that you can get just by looking good, smelling good, brushing your hair. And so there was this particular thing like, why must brush your hair? You just brush it and look okay. Don't wear slippers up and down in the class. If your leg is paining you, remove your shoes for a while and put on your shoes back. Don't and the way you also tell them as well is important. So don't try to tell them in a rude way. Just let them see reason. Let them reason with him. Like, you have to look good. Don't you want children to become teachers as well? So why do you dress like that? I love the microphone because it's a tool that helps me voice out my thoughts as well as create happiness too. If I'm separated from it, they're gone. I love it. I hope we're getting something. So you can go back on YouTube and just see some of these activities. The second one is, how did I come to see myself this way? That's the second exercise that she gave. So how did you come to see yourself as someone who loves the microphone, someone who loves to make people happy, someone who is a teacher? How did you come to see yourself that way? Someone who loves to help people dress well. How did you come to see yourself that way? Do I define myself this way through it? Was it through experience? Was it through a vision of how I want to be? Was it just logical, like, okay, I just have to, and so this is the way it should be? Or was it in relation to other people's values? Maybe you saw someone like that and you liked it and you say, okay, I'm going to take it upon myself. This is how I'm going to be as well. So these are questions that you ask. The next one is, why does each descriptor matter at all? Why do they matter? Does it matter because it is what I currently do? Is it because I'm a teacher now that it matters? Is it because I'm a teacher now? And trust me, if I'm not a teacher, if I'm not a teacher now, right? If I'm not a teacher now, I will not lose I would not, what's the word? I don't know I'm trying to know how to explain it. So it says, it doesn't matter because it is what I currently do. It matters because it's what I currently do, but at the same time, it is who I've been called to be. That is the vision. That is the vision that I have for my life. So it's not just because I found I'm teaching, or because I found myself in a classroom. For some people, is because it is dear to my heart. This is what I love. I want to see transformation at my core, at my my vision, my mission, my purpose. It is being a deliverer, to see people deliver from ignorance, to see people receive wisdom and sense. That's what I call it. I said, receive sense. It's something I tell myself as well. Adora, have sense. It's not an insult. It's just you being, it's metacognition. All right, let's move on. So let's move to personality types. Personality types. Some of us already know about personality types, you know about being an introvert, an extrovert, a thinker, a feeler, a sensor, all of those things. But how many of us have seen, apart from being an introvert or extrovert, how many of us have seen being a thinker or an intuitive or a feeler or a judger? How many of us have seen those other personality types? Okay, let me see. If I'm not currently reaching within the 4 walls, or teaching within 4 walls of a school, I will still be reaching. Oh, reaching. Is it reaching or teaching? Okay, reaching. Let me leave it at that. I will still be reaching outside the 4 walls of a school, thanks to tech. Right. So it's just because it's at the core of who you are. So regardless of where you are, like, it doesn't have to be in the classroom, but even if it's outside of the classroom, it's still who you are, right? So we have these different personality types, and we are going to be running through. I'm just going to be running through them. I'm not taking you in depth. So if you want to go in depth, come to the Skill Teacher Academy. Okay. If you open up, waitlist is already up. Just go to bit.ly/ all in capital letters CSTA waitlist, and just join the waitlist there. So your personality type. Before we go into there, let me see people that are online. Anybody joining? Oh, hi, Tolu. Our director of teacher training is around. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Ms. Olufunke Kadri. Welcome. Who else is here? Welcome, welcome. For everybody else, welcome. I hope we are learning. Do we have questions so far? Do we have questions? Do we have comments? What have you learned so far? Does anybody want to share? I still have some time. I know we're going to be able to finish the class today. Does anybody want to share with me what they've learned so far? If you guys are quiet, that means you've not learned anything. I know I've seen some comments in the chat, but apart from that, Mr. Okoyemi, have you learned anything today? Mr. Daniel, we have another Daniel. Okay, hi, Mr. Daniel E. I hope that's a guy. I'm so sorry.
Good evening.
Hi, okay, a guy. Oh, great. Hi, nice to meet you. Who wants to share what they've learned? Please, let's talk. Let's share. Authenticity is also sharing. It's also sharing what you've learned with other people. That's authenticity. Because you know it has worked for you, so it can work for other people. Okay. All right.
Okay, can I share, please?
Yes, please go on.
All right, thank you. All right, I've learned something. When you made mention of authenticity, does not necessarily mean that you just have to be yourself and whatever advice you're giving, you will not accept it. No. I think one of the slides, we have a comment that says you can seek for help. So do not just rely and say, oh, I want to be authentic. I have to do things just my way. I will not seek for help. The way I want to do it, that's how I'm going to do it. you can also seek for help so that you can improve your authenticity. And that's something I'm taking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. Very important, asking for help. Okay, so we have different personality types. We have the introverts, the people that love being into themselves. So the reason why we are going through personality types, temperament types, and the types of teachers is because sometimes what we experience in the classroom, what I got to discover later on was that my personality type and my temperament had a lot to do with how I was feeling in the classroom. Had a lot to do with my personality, why I was overwhelmed, why I wasn't feeling myself, why sometimes I will come in the morning and I was energetic at first, then all of a sudden I'm feeling very down. It was because I didn't know my personality type. I didn't know my temperament a lot. I knew, but I didn't like go in depth into what the consequences of my personality or my temperament. Okay. So we have the introverts and the extroverts. The introverts, those who like to spend time alone, they get energy from spending time alone, right? And then we have the extraverts, not extroverts, extraverts, they're extra. They tend to be more expressive and outspoken. Now, when you see these personality types, you'll not be able to group them into temperaments as well, because you begin to see that there's a congruence, or there's an alignment between personality type, your temperament, and even the types of teachers that we have. Okay. I didn't get to hear the response to my question. Oh my goodness. Oh, so sorry. Are you back now? Yemi, are you back now? Please let me know so that I can repeat my answers again. Are you here? Just type yes if you're here. Yes, okay. So what I said was, don't let anybody stop you from saying what you have to say, because I'm a huge fan as well of Looking Good. Looking Good Teachers Association, I'm there. I'm a member. And so I'm an advocate for looking good, especially as a teacher. So when you want to, what I said was, it's just the way you relate it to them and tell them the benefits, let them reason with you. One thing I know for a fact is that the way people address some teachers, because of the way they dress, is they're always looking at some teachers as, low level and all of that. So the way you dress really, excuse me, is the same way you'll be addressed. So let them see reason. Tell them the benefits of looking good. Tell them the benefits of smelling nice. Tell them the benefits of, shopping right and getting the right combinations and the right gowns and just let them know that it will help them a lot. Yes, Mr. Daniel, please could you give me a moment? If you have a question, I'll take it, or you could type it out. Or just hold on when I'm done with personality type and I'll call you in. I want us to be done like in a few minutes. I'm trying to beat time. I want to use this for 2 hours, but I want us to finish before then. So we also have the intuition or sensing personality. So at the end of this class, your take home is going to go and you go do those tests and you find out your personality combination. So they're usually a combination of four different personality types. So it's either you're an introvert or you're an extrovert. It's either you're an intuitive or you are a sensor. It's either you are a judger or a feeler, those things. So we have those who sense. They use their 5 senses a lot. They, sometimes they just, there are some people, they are not doing amebo, but they just hear things naturally. And sometimes to these people are those people that listen a lot. They are the ones that they just know that something is off about you. And people that just be like, what's going on? And they're just like, okay, I think this, and all of that. Then we also have the intuitives as well. Intuitives, they are very futuristic. Most of them are the creatives. Thank you. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Joshua. Mr. Lusinga says, I've learned that I need to be really authentic with what I teach, not to be afraid to seek for help when I need to. I'm also encouraged to keep dressing beautifully as well as a teacher. Yes, please keep on doing it. So the slides will be up on YouTube. This is going to be up on YouTube. I'm not going to go deep. The most important part for me is for you to take the test and know So we have the thinkers and the feelers. People that are they think a lot, they are very logical, they like the reasonable choices. And we have the feelers, people that use their emotions to judge. It's not logic, they use emotions to judge. We have the judges and the perceivers, people that, excuse me. Excuse me. So there are people that like structure, judging the judges appreciate structure, they love order. I don't like last minute changes. I'm very sure some of these things you can see where your temperament lies. As though for those that know their temperament, then you have the perceivers as well. And then we go to temperament type. So before we go, Mr. Daniel, can I have you? Mr. Babatunde. Mr. Daniel, can I have you say what you wanted to say?
I wanted to make a comment earlier concerning as teachers being role models when it comes to dressing and grooming. So when I came to the school where I currently teach, I noticed the way the students behave. So I always wear perfumes and I'm always polishing my shoes. A couple of weeks later, I noticed that some of my learners, they bring polish to school to ensure that their shoes are always polished. And some even started wearing perfume that even someone who's asthmatic cannot even survive in such an environment. So, so I try to advise them that even though they need to smell nice and dress well, but they should tone it down a little bit so that they don't inconvenience others. So as teachers, we are also role models to those who we teach, and we pay attention to ourselves.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for sharing. Very good. So we can also you can see how authentic that is. Who you are, that's what your students will end up being as well. So I think that was also something that happened to me because I was a jovial person. My children also became quite jovial, so we clashed. But yeah. So temperament types. This is about your inner traits. This is what shapes your perspective. This is how you perceive the world and approach the world, how you perceive and how you approach, how you receive and how you give to the world around you. I know many of us know these things. If you're a teacher and you don't know about the temperaments, please read up on it. I actually put a video, but we don't have time to watch the video. I'll send the video link to the community group so that you can watch. It's a summary of the temperaments. So we have the sanguine, the fun ones, like Mr. Babatunde and Betsy, the jovial ones, they like jive when they come into the class. Their class is always fun, always like on the vibe. With their class that you hear them singing songs and everything, always dancing. I love that class. Especially, I remember when in secondary school, I would be in Igbo class. I don't know who said to go and do Igbo. In junior school, I'll be in Igbo class and Yoruba class. We'll be singing songs. In Igbo class, we'll be dancing to their Yoruba songs that they were singing in Yoruba class. Oh my God. So we have people like that. So those ones, they're the life of the party. And they can be very insensitive. So they are playing a lot and you're not even in the mood. They're like, wake up now, come on. You don't know that maybe so that maybe that person is broke, in suffer mode, or they just lost someone and they don't know how to be serious sometimes. So you can be serious and then they just start jonesing. And then we have the choleric. Okay, or was that a mistake? All right, so we have the cholerics, the very serious ones. These are the leaders, natural leaders, class captain, the ones that they will write your name, write times 100 in front of it. They'll be like, don't make noise, Mr. This person said we should not do this. Always serious. The reason why I'm using students is because when you know yourself, you know your students as well. So I'm very sure we can see some of our students that are already in that light. They're always very serious, always taking leadership positions. Some of them, and this is how you can even build your students. Like my students, the reason why they love me till now is because I was able to know their temperament types and their personality types. So there were some of them that even if they show that they are shy, but you can see that these ones are choleric. They are natural leaders. So you push them. There are some that because of their personality, no matter how much you push them, they are not going to, it feels like you're choking them. So, you know, there are sometimes some teachers will say, push them. It's not all of them that you like push to do certain things. There are some people you just leave them, let them be what they just let them be, right? So the cholerics are the simple ones, and those ones too sometimes can be very, they always do this, follow structure, follow order. So you can see where they fall under personality types as well. Then we have the phlegmatics, always a flag, just chill. Don't like, these are the ones that don't like, don't stress. I mean, don't like pushing anybody. They don't just life is just take life one step at a time. They're the ones that can, you won't see them everywhere. They're not bothered by what is going on. FOMO is not for them. They are fear of missing out. They're not afraid to miss out on anything. Then we have the melancholics, which I fall under sometimes. It's a good blend of other temperaments with us being sanguines, brings us the sensitivity enough. Exactly. So you can have a combination of two, but one outweighs the other. So there's always it's now you finding the balance, right? So you have the melancholics, the peace lovers. You know, we don't like stress, we don't like fighting with anybody. You know, but we are not as bad as the flags. Don't push them. Don't for the melancholics. It's not like you can push us, but we like doing things at our own time, but we still do. But for flags, sometimes they will not, even if they can do it, but they won't do it, right? But finding that balance. So I'm a mix of a choleric and I'm heavy. I'm a heavy choleric and a very light melancholic. So I'm the kind of person that if I don't follow structure, if I don't follow the things that I'm meant to do, it affects me really bad. Like I feel bad. So I'm just learning to take on my melancholic side and chill a little bit, babe. Don't worry, you're gonna get it done. And in all of these personalities, even in your relationship with your students, with people, having that balance. So for me, I have someone in my life where I'm like, oh my God, I've not done this. Calm down. You will do it. Shout out to you. The person can listen, is hearing me as I'm speaking. So we're like, calm down. Just don't worry. So what do you have to do? I say, breathe and breathe. Okay, I have to do this. And okay, let's go. Have you done that? I'll be like, yes, I've done that. So having that balance between your personalities, also understanding. So for students as well, there are some students that are heavy sanguines. Very heavy sanguine, and then but you can see a bit of choleric in them. There are some people that they are a combination of sanguine and they have a bit of choleric. You can push, you can boost, you can sometimes, especially as kids, you can tone the sanguine a bit, because especially for those ones that is affecting their performance in the class already, you can tone it down a bit and bring out the choleric side as well, so that they can follow structure, they can perform better and do stuff better. All right. Yeah, shout out to you, boss. All right, then the next thing that we need to do is our SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities around you? Here you can see it's like a business. I just really like this picture. That was why I used it, but you get the gist. What makes you shine? What is your strength? What can you do effortlessly? There are some things that are, for teachers especially, teaching is our strength. We just know how to pass knowledge. I don't know for other teachers, but the teachers I've met is our strength. That's what makes me shine. You can wake me up from sleep and just tell me to come and teach on certain things, and I'm good. I don't have to prepare. I just give me the mic, give me the space, and let's go. And then we have your weaknesses, those things that you know that you're not, they use to beat you. That thing can beat you. It can weigh you down if you're not careful. Your weaknesses, it can be time management. Some teachers are not good at it. It can be organization. Some teachers are not good at it, and it's affecting their lesson plan, affecting instruction in the classroom. Okay, it can be opportunities as well. What are those things that, if you take up these things, like technology, what are those things that if you take up, that I'm going forward? Then your threat, it could be financial, it could be it could be financial threats, it could be relationship threats as well. So I have some questions as well. Just breeze through and then go on YouTube, take the questions, answer them. Okay, there are also tests that can help you. I know there's Clifton's strength test to help you know your strengths. What do you enjoy doing? What are your unique skills and all of those things? Your weaknesses, opportunities you have. Talking about how can my network help me in my career, skills that needs to be filled. For some people now, for me now, I'm learning website design. It's an opportunity. I'm trying to take up the opportunity because I will need it. Then threats, what are those things that can hurt your career? Is it your personality that can hurt your career? Are you a flag that you don't want to do anything and you are missing out on certain opportunities and all of these things? So yeah. So let's move to the types of teachers, I mean. Mr. Babatune, thank you for the encouragement. All right. Can I go on the types of teachers? Can I move? Please give me, let's go. We're almost done. We're almost there. Please give it to me in the chat. Can I go? So much to learn from you, ma'am. This is a masterclass. Thank you. Let's go. All right, let's move. So Quentin Patricia mentions four types of teachers, and I'm pretty sure there are more, but 4 types of teachers. And I could relate. Like when I explain, you would be able to relate, and you begin to see. So you begin to see that there's a relationship between who you are in the classroom and who you are as a person, who you are as a teacher, and who you are as self, right? All right, let's go. I love it. All right, so we have number 1, the organized teacher. We have number 2, the practical teacher. We have number 3, the creative teacher, and we have number 4, the caring teacher. Now, the organized teacher is the one that has their lesson plan on fleek, class culture on fleek, class structure on fleek, notes on fleek. Where is this particular document? They'll be like, okay, primary 2, or maybe this is a primary 2 teacher. Primary 2 elementary science, you just type it up. You can have this document, this is where it is, this is how I start them. You enter a class, you just see box. You'll be like, this for math, this is for English, this is for those kind of things. Then you not be like, don't worry, let me even go there. You not say you want to, let me just pause. You not say you want to copy the organized teacher. Let's pause there. For those people that wanted to copy, like me, because I went to the class, I'm like, oh my God, see how books always arranged. CRK, this is where CRK is, this is where science is, this is where I said I wanted to follow. Okay. Let's move on. So the organized teacher is someone who she has had things together. She knows what she knows. She has everything set. There are structures. Now, please, what personality type is that? And what personality type and what temperament type is that? So you see that there's a relationship, right, between who someone is in the classroom. You can be a certain type of teacher in the classroom, but it's also who you are. You understand that. For someone like me, I cannot be an organized teacher. No, I cannot. I was not an organized teacher. As much as organizer as I was okay. I know how to arrange, but I wasn't that teacher that had, this box, this thing. I wasn't. I wanted to be. I tried it, but it did not work. All right. So the practical teacher likes real life experiences. For every lesson, there must be real life scenarios. Those are the kinds of teachers that will tell you stories, like they will gist you about their life history before starting the class. In fact, they will use, if the class is for 1 hour, they will use 45 minutes to tell you their life stories in relation to the topic and use 15 minutes to teach you. Please, how many of us had that teacher? I know I had that teacher too. They will use no, it was not even a teacher, it was a lecturer in school. They will use time to you'll be enjoying the gist too, because they're like real life stories and you love them too for sharing those things. And and sometimes it can also affect them, because at the end of the day, when it's time to teach, they'll be like, okay, take home assignment, bring it to me, take home assignment. Then you go to their exam and you see certain questions like, but we did not have this conversation in the class. You will not know that the stories that they were telling you, the real life experiences, and also they pass that on to their students as well. So when you see some teachers always when they're always like taking their children for field trips, having experiments and all of these things, they're the practical teachers. So you can also see the kind of personality and temperament that falls under. Now we have the creative teacher. I fell under the creative teacher. So you can have more, you can have a combination of all of these, but there's always one stronger than the rest. I didn't put the test here. So there's a test that you can actually take to know this, the exercise. If you can wine me to like a birthday lunch, I'll give it to you. Because my birthday is on the 18th of April. Shout out to myself. I just threw that out there. Because I love the month of April. But the creative teacher is one that likes trying something new. It doesn't have to be real life experience. It doesn't have to be a real life experience. Just something new, maybe new technology, new techniques. The teacher that's always telling them, oh, let's sing. You want to teach something, let's sing. I was on the creative side. So I was the kind of teacher that I want to teach cells. And I'm like, I've got cells in my body, got cells in my body. The plant got cells and the animal cells. I can't forget that song. We formed that song. Yes, April is a big day. So we formed that song. I formed the song for them so that they will know that we have cells. We are made up of cells, and we have animal cells and we have plant cells. So you can take my song. There was also another one I taught them from social studies about the types of government: democratic, autocratic, laissez-faire. Democratic, autocratic, laissez. They were the ones that formed it though. I wasn't the one that I just give them the opportunity to form their song, and they formed it in the exam. You see them. I'm like, you are cheating. I'm like, no, we are just more. We just. So I give them the opportunity to be creative. I mean, we are talking about social studies, we're talking about science, they're acting drama in my class. I don't like my class to be boring. I don't have that strength. So I was the creative. I was the kind of teacher that for teaching, when I was teaching them on planets, I was the first teacher in the history of that school to use virtual reality to teach. I use VR to teach science. I'm like, I'm teaching you planets and you can't see the planets. So you're going to use virtual reality. So use virtual reality to watch like live space videos, because the space videos are always live on YouTube, so you can check them out. So you just have like antennas up there and they're showing you live on YouTube. Then NASA eyes. So we use NASA eyes to like see live planet reports. So I was that person. I was always trying like new things, trying games, or my PPTs, my PowerPoint presentation slides, Canva all the way. It's now that I'm saying this new PowerPoint is making sense, so I can use it. But before Canva, my slides cannot be boring. It's not pride, it's just who I am. Then we have the caring teacher. The creative teacher is also that teacher that will rearrange the class from the conventional setup. Yes, I was also that teacher. I was a teacher that for class parties and everything, I will bring Ankara wrappers and we use it as curtains, bring like blankets to put on the floor, we sit on the floor and everything in my class. Then we have the caring teacher. The caring teacher is the one that is always looking out for the welfare of the students. The teacher doesn't really care about sometimes, and this one also affects the teacher because sometimes she's so concerned about, oh my God, how are you doing? How are you taking? That's the one that takes up that motherly or fatherly side, always, oh, are you okay? Oh, do you want biscuits? I just looked up NASA eyes and it's awesome. Yes, it's very good. So always, they're always so caring. All of those things, they're so nice. So, you love them. But it can also affect them if they are not careful. So sometimes we have a balance of these things. I can be organized. I can be very practical. But I scored the highest in being a creative teacher. And after that, practicals. But caring and organized, I got 1. And caring, I think 2. But the rest, creative 4, practical 3. So you're becoming yourself. Self as teacher, there was a part she called self as teacher, teacher self. So this is the congruence. It's finding congruence. We've talked about that. It's finding congruence between who you are on the inside as a person and who you are as a teacher. It's identifying aspects of yourself in everyday life that match with your notion of an ideal teacher. So it's saying an ideal teacher should be nice. And you see that, oh, I am nice, okay. An ideal teacher should be this. It's just finding that balance between who you are as a person and who you are as a teacher, bringing them together and making something beautiful. It is. So she asked the question, she says, what do we do in our everyday life outside of the classroom that is teaching or related to teaching? So sometimes what we do in the classroom, people sometimes different from what we do outside of the classroom, because there's no balance, there's no congruence. So if in the classroom, I'm an organized teacher, meaning that at home I'm organized as well. If in the classroom I love creative stuff, meaning in my house I am as well. Right now I'm trying to like refurbish and make everywhere. You can see that at the back. I'm trying to move that and put something else and just make my house like a place of. I just like trying stuff sometimes, even though it might not be in the open all the time, but I just like doing new stuff, trying new things, learning new things. So in finding congruence, it involves telling your story as well on how and why you became a teacher. That's where it starts. That's also what it is. How you can find that balance, how you can find that congruence is telling your story, telling yourself your story on how and why you became a teacher. There are more questions, and I can release it to you. I can release it to you. You ask me, I'll get the full question. I think they're about 20, but I have like 6 or 7 here. So ask yourself, as a child and adolescent, what was your view of teachers? Me, I didn't want to be a teacher. I did not like teachers at the time. So then what was the view of teachers in the community or culture where you grew up? When did you first think about that you might become a teacher? How did your view of teachers change as you went to higher education? Were they teachers in your family? For me, both parents were teachers before my mom became a nurse. She was a teacher. Before my dad became, a business owner, he was a teacher. So did you deliberately choose to become a teacher, or did you fall into teaching? That's accidental teachers, what I call them. Did you have friends in childhood or young adulthood who wanted to be teachers? So all of these things would shape your identity as a teacher and as an individual as well. So I have more questions if you want them. I got them for you. So in connecting with your students, we are talking about building authentic relationships with them, communicating with them. It says to connect with our students, to enter an authentic relationship with them in order to communicate and teach requires self-understanding. It starts from self, knowing who you are. Before you can build connection with anybody, you have to first build connection with yourself, knowing who you are. And she says it does not mean revealing all or expressing feelings or spending a great deal of time together, but simply being yourself during communication with students. So all of that, don't smile with students so that they don't take it for granted, is a scam. If you know who you are, if you are being yourself during communication with your students, then you will build connections with them and they will not take you for granted. To understand, and she also mentions that all of this is what she has said. To understand another person or relate with them, you connect with them on 2 levels. I stumbled into teaching, but ended up loving it and becoming a proactive. Thank you so much for sharing, Oluwayemi. So there are 2 levels. So you connect with people on an intellectual basis or an affective basis. Intellectual, when it talks about maybe their culture, background, for students, maybe their learning achievements, their skills, their talents, all of those things. Or affective, you just have this connection, just feel like I just like this person. You don't know why. Especially for sensors, that's what happens. The way we connect with our students helps in working towards authenticity. So now, Karanti Patricia also mentioned 3 types of students, but there are more actually, because even my classmates mentioned some more, but I'm just going to share these 3. So we have the protege, the critic, and the enemy. Now you also see some of your students. The reason why we're talking about the type of students is because some of them are, the reason why we can't build connections with some people is because they don't align with our personality. So if you don't know why, that's why you shout. That is why you shout as a teacher sometimes. Because you don't know your students. You don't know why. You don't just like the students. Why? I don't just like you. Why? You don't know why. Because you don't know their personality. If you don't know their temperament, you don't know yourself. So it's a problem. right? It's always a problem. So when we talk about the protege is someone that we all love. That's one thing that I have them. We all have them. That particular student that, no matter what that student does, you can't punish that student. That student is because you can just see yourself in that student. Yeah, personality clash for the enemy. So you can just see yourself in that student. Just like, you just have this. Just like, why? That child is intelligent. The person can speak well. The person is a leader. The person is always like, oh, Miss Adora, how are you doing? I had one of them talk for me. I had another one, Ivana. Oh, Miss Adora, what can I help you with? I just love them. Those are your proteges, the ones that you just love. And there's a reason why you love them. Now for Ivana, the reason why I love Ivana, because she's a born leader. She's absolute in her dealings. You can't. Ivana was 9, 10. She turned 10 in my class. You can't meet Ivana and tell her, Ivana, have you watched? You ask her a question like, have you watched a Marvel movie before? She would say no, because it was also a rule, and I adore her parents for that. They don't really watch TV till when school is done so much. She'd be like, no. And one of them, the one you call the critic or the enemy in my class, would now say, oh, have you been living under a rock? And she'd be like, no, I've not been living under a rock. The fact that you don't have higher scores than I have is a good thing, because it shows that TV is not so important. Like, she would literally just watch the other student, and I'm like, you go, girl, you go, you got this. So I don't need to intervene or anything. So that's the preach. Then the critic is the one that is always asking. I had a critic in my class and I was almost frustrated. Oh my God. He would always question everything. He'd be like, why is it like this? And sometimes he'll make some very snacky comments like, this is so boring. Sometimes the critic can also fall into the enemy. I'm like, oh, this is so boring. Oh, I know it. Oh, why is it like that? Why do I have to do this? Or you punish him? Like, why are you punishing him? Well, you just did something wrong, and that's why you have to be punished for what you did wrong. And she will critique. They will always want to challenge you. Please let me know I hope you are thinking of those students in your class. They will always want to challenge you. The reason why you have to identify them is because so that you know how to deal with them. That's how you can build connection with them. So the person that is the enemy in the class, you can also be can become a protege, and that was what I did when I was teaching. So there was this particular student who was almost my enemy. Why? It's one of my students as a critic here. Then we have the enemy, the one that you don't just like. He's rude. He plays too much. He does a lot. He's just always everywhere. Just always everywhere. You don't just like that child. That is rough. There's that one as well. And I had that one. There was one, he was a critic, and then he became an enemy at some point because it was very rude. But I'm like, and the reason why some of them are enemies is because you base your experience, or you want to create your experience based on other people's experiences. So other teachers have told me, oh, this child is difficult to deal with. Oh, well done. You were the one that got this child. I wish you all the best. So they already put notions in my head, and then I begin to see those things, and I'm angry because the other teachers are angry and they didn't know how to deal with it. Until one day I'm like, nah, this child, I need to study this child. And the child he's very intelligent, very intelligent. He can be rude because it's not his fault. It was how he was raised. So you then learn how to separate the person from their experiences or how they relate with you or their approach to certain things, especially for those of us that are still in elementary or high school, secondary school. Learn to separate children from a situation. Don't put them together. The child is rude. Most of the time, it's not the child's fault that the child is rude. You now need to look at the rudeness and say, okay, how can we correct this child being this rudeness? How can we turn this child from being rude to being respectful? That's what you should begin with. Not the child is rude. Then all of a sudden you are angry. One thing that you should know is that you are the adults. You are the older one. If not for anything, you should always think that I'm the older person. No matter how much the child shakes you, you'll be like, this child is a child. I've been there, done that. But this thing that you're doing, we're going to correct it. That should be our approach to the ones that are maybe critics or the enemies. All right. I hope we are together. So what's your classroom flavor? We are almost done. Your classroom flavor could be a color, could be season, it could be art, it could be music, it could be an emotion. But all of these things depend on, could only be as original as you are. Your classroom can only be as original as you are. So for me, I loved a very colorful class. I loved a burst of color, and that's who I am too on the inside. I just like stuff being everywhere. I can buy, like, even though I like dark colors, but I just like pop of something. I just like something being out of the ordinary. So it was always in my class. I always had that class that was always decorated differently as well. Even though my decorations didn't used to last, because the children will always play and tear it up somehow. I don't know. Then we can now see that your classroom flavor is your personality plus your temperament plus your teacher style match. That's if you're an organized teacher, practical teacher, creative teacher, or a caring teacher. All of those things will let you know your classroom flavor. Then an authentic teacher only wants to have a classroom flavor atmosphere that is true to both your students and you as a teacher, so that your classroom does not become a war zone, so that your classroom, you're not uncomfortable in your own class. Okay, so that's all about classroom flavor. Just knowing, it's channeling your personality or channeling self into your classroom. Just knowing, so that your classroom is, because the reason why some people get tired is because their classroom doesn't look like what it should look like. So maybe, for instance, someone loves maybe like dark colors, a dark room, and you go to a class that everywhere is bright. You might not feel comfortable, but there's a way to work around it. So making connections the right way. We've talked about connections a lot. And finally, we're going to be looking at other ways. This is not all, this is just a few of how we can build connections. But the first one is knowing yourself. And we talk about setting boundaries. We have to set boundaries, because in as much as we want to communicate with our students, be with our students, love upon our students, we have to set boundaries. We have to set boundaries, or else some students, when you begin to play, you play and forget. All right. Then we also have having an open table policy. I had that as well. So any student can approach my table with anything, just talk to me about it. And we have lunch together. We spend time together. We have game time together. We talk about anything. Things that are happening in a child's home, the child can tell me. I was on, we just say, Adora, maybe my mom used to beat me. I think I still have it on video. Oh my, that it was fun. Then also communication. Communicate, not shout. If two people are shouting, there's no communication, there's no point. You're not making any point. So communicate, talk, speak. Air your mind without offending the other person, and likewise the other person as well, or your student, or the admin, or your colleague. And finally, I want you to take this test. I'm going to put up the link in the bio. I'm going to put up the link in the chat. So take a personality test, and I want you to share with me. I'd love to see it. 16, can we see the link? I don't know, can I share this link? Copy link, okay. Copy link. I'm going to share it. So take your personality test and your temperament test, and then share. We're already done, guys. So, whoosh. And finally, thank you so much for staying. Wow, how did you handle the student that has turned, enemy? So first of all, the student should not be your enemy. First of all, no child should be able to shake you up, because number one, you are an adult and they are children. And in dealing with people, the things that they are doing and the actions, learn to separate the action from the person. So if a child is rude, don't assume, if a child acts in a rude manner, don't assume that the child is a rude child. Always separate the two. The person you are dealing with is, first of all, a child and acted in a rude manner, right? Or acted in a disrespectful manner. So what you should begin to do is, how can you handle that disrespect? How can you handle that part of the child that brings out disrespect? So you take him some attack the action. Now, some of these children, they learn it from the home. They learn it from the house. And so it's also on helping your students to understand who they are. This is not who you are. You are not made to be disrespectful. You are not made to be rude. So it's also now affirming them and saying, this is who you should, this is the right way. And as children, I must say that you have to influence their character because they are children. You have to learn to influence their character. They don't know how to act the right way. You guide them in the right way. Okay, so they are doing something wrong. That's wrong action. I think my battery is low. That's wrong action. You should learn to correct that action. That's what you should try to do. They shouldn't be your enemy. Still love upon them. Still love them. I may have joined it, but I'm glad I did anyway. Thank you so much. So still love upon them, still love them regardless. They are your children, still care for them, still involve them in things. And you will begin to see the change, because it's how you deal with them, that's how they're going to deal with you. So do we have does any other person have any other thing of how we can deal with that? Do we have any other way we can deal with that for the ones that act as enemies? So do you have something to say? A lot of my colleagues used to complain about a boy who they say, and I have since acted rudely. I refused to see him as that, though. I had to move close to him and then realized that his actions were results of what he was exposed to. Many who act as enemies crave attention, most definitely. Yes, that was what I also noticed as well. So at home, this particular child at home, his parents were not always around. So he will always like act out of character. He was very bossy, almost like a bully. His mom always complaining that she's tired, but you're not always there for your son. And so he craves attention. So I give him the attention that he needs. And funny enough, he's a leader. He became a protege to me. It was like my asset. Anybody that comes, we need students. I'll be like, I have many of them actually. So which one? So my student became an asset, because anybody else anything, they'll come to my class. Okay, what emceeing or to be a compare with my students. I'm not comparing with a colleague. I'm comparing with my students. I'm emceeing with my because I have them. The farther you are to them and the worse they become, most definitely. If you say, this child, you're so stubborn, go. Tell them to come. Yes, please, Tolu, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, confession. I wasn't like paying attention completely when you were answering the question initially until you called my name, because I was taking my personality test.
Okay.
But I think what you just trained on is like the perfect answer to the question of how to handle an enemy as a student, because most times your students turn to enemies because of bad behavior. And if you're your authentic self, somehow they open up. Because many times, like you said, you're trying to be an imposter teacher, you're trying to be stern, you're trying to be who you know you're not. And students, they pick up on these things. So the moment you change from your normal self, instead of relating to your students as yourself and coming to their level, trying to understand, why are you behaving this way and all of that. There are so many times when if you're just being yourself, let your students see how flawed you are, how weak you are, what you don't know. When you don't know things, you ask for help. In the end, they open up to you. The so-called enemy students, they end up somehow being close to you. I remember there was a time when during my TP, the students that recall that you just explained to me as enemy now. I mean, when I first met them, I saw them as the worst behaved. I noticed that they started coming closer to me. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't even like you. Why are you coming close to me? Because in my head, I'm like, this child is badly behaved. But eventually, when I warmed up to them, they could be badly behaved in other classes. But in my own class, they want to impress me. That's just the best way to put it. They want to be different around me. So I think the best way to handle those students is just be your actual self. And like you said earlier, you said separate the child from the behavior.
Yes.
So don't hate the child because this child is mean to other children. Teach the child that being mean is not a right thing to do. And you yourself, don't be mean. Because you're telling me it's not good to be mean and you're being mean. Do you understand? So you yourself, don't be mean. So I think this training is literally the answer to how to convert a so-called enemy as a student.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Director Tolu. Thank you so much. All right. I have to run because I have another meeting. But thank you all so much for being here. Please take your test. I would love feedbacks from you. Just drop your feedback on the in the community. If you're not part of the so teachers are so winners. Yes, most definitely. What we call it is disciple to discipline. That's what we call it, disciple to discipline. So please share your testimonials on the group chat in the community. If you're not part of the community, please join us already. And I would love to see, or else I'll enter your DMs. So, okay, I'm trying to drop it here because I have to run. I have another Zoom meeting. So that's the link. Sorry, the bit.ly should be bit.ly, small letters. So thank you so much all for coming. Thank you so much.